Happy Thursday, everyone. Sorry, I'm running a couple minutes late this morning, just having some technical issues, but I think they're resolved, so we can go ahead. Um, I'm excited today to be talking to you guys about personal boundaries and how that actually ties into having arthritis or other autoimmune conditions. So Casey is away today, and just to let you guys know too, we will be away next week for some summer holidays and returning on July the 5th. But let's get back to today's topic. So today I'm talking about setting personal boundaries and why that's actually a necessity to manage our arthritis symptoms. So this may sound a little bit strange because I know that when we talk about our health and our arthritis, we think about our physical health and things that we can do to our physical body. And we often don't think about everything else that's going on in our lives that contributes to our physical health. So boundaries are actually a necessity to make our health a priority in order to manage our arthritis and reduce our symptoms, because this takes time and energy, and we also need to incorporate this into our day. So things like personal hygiene, eating, work, cleaning, our kids' activities, etc. Taking time and energy to look after our health is just as important as all of those things. And we need to incorporate that into our day. And so we need to set boundaries so that we actually have time and energy to make that happen for us. So this often requires us to rearrange our typical day to make time for getting enough sleep, time for food preparation, stress management like movement at our ability level, whether it's visiting with a friend or having time to ourselves, maybe watching a funny show or reading, gardening, going golfing, etc. So anything that you really like to do, whether it's alone or whether it's with other people, is necessary to manage your stress. So yes, having fun and relaxation is a necessity for physical health. Now, we all know that constant stress that goes unchecked can manifest itself physically, not to mention it makes us miserable. So it affects not just our mental health by making us cranky and tired and irritable, but it also affects our physical health. And I know anyone who suffers from arthritis or another autoimmune condition has experienced this. It's often a really stressful event or traumatic event that can trigger the onset of our illness. So that's why looking after our stress and managing that is super, super important. So let's go back to boundaries again. So what exactly are personal boundaries, and how do we create and use those in order to take care of our physical and our mental health? So I'm going to read a definition of personal boundaries that I found that I quite like. I think it's very accurate. Personal boundaries are the limits and rules that we set for ourselves within relationships. A person with healthy boundaries can say no to others when they want to, but they are also comfortable opening themselves up to intimacy and close relationships. A person who always keeps others at a distance, whether emotionally, physically, or otherwise, is said to have rigid boundaries. And alternatively, someone who tends to get too involved with others has porous boundaries. So we want to be somewhere in the middle with healthy boundaries. And healthy boundaries look something like this. Someone who is valuing their own opinions, someone who doesn't compromise their values for others, someone who shares personal information in an appropriate way, so doesn't over or undershare, someone who knows their personal wants and needs and can communicate them, and they can also accept when others say no to them. So when we think about this, how do we apply healthy boundaries in our lives to ensure that we're taking care of our health? So one of the biggest things is realizing and accepting that we just can't do it all. We do need to choose our priorities, and we also need to delegate or let go of things that are less important than our priorities. And we can only have so many priorities. You can't have like 10 major priorities in your life, because then all you're going to be doing is chasing, getting things done all day long and never getting enough sleep. So you have to pick your top 3 and focus on those. And I always suggest asking for help and delegating tasks to others at home. So Even if it's not done just the way that you would do it, we need to let it be good enough and accept that maybe our house isn't always going to be perfectly clean or exactly the way we want it. And that's okay. And if it's within your budget, maybe consider hiring somebody to help you clean or do the yard work or some of the things that maybe you really don't want to do or that just aren't on the top of your priority list, but that are still important to you. And explore ways of streamlining your life. So, for like I said, if you maybe hire some help, if you can do that, that will help you streamline your life in some ways. Asking for help, I think it's so hard for some of us to ask for help because we don't want to be a burden or we don't want, we don't want to put somebody else out. But if we flip it around and think about it this way, when people ask us to do things, there's lots of times we're really happy that they asked and we're happy to do it for them. And so just think about that in reverse. Would you be willing to help somebody with the things that you would like some help with? And that sometimes gives us a little bit more bravery in asking. Another way to streamline your life and set some boundaries is limiting events that you go to and just to stop feeling obligated to go to everything that we're invited to. Sometimes I know that can be exhausting. And I know for myself, that was one of the biggest things that I had to really reevaluate. Do I really need to go to the 10 weddings that I was invited to one summer and not get any time at the lake that I wanted to? No. And that wasn't a healthy choice for me to go to all those weddings and give up all those weekends. So I had to pick and choose which ones were the most important for me to go to and which ones, I was okay with missing and, sending a card and a gift to. So just an example, limiting the amount of time that you spend at events. So for example, if you're going to go to something and you're going to have pressure to stay really late or a lot later than you want to because you're with your family or friends and they're kind of always like, oh well, don't go, like the party's just getting started. Decide ahead of time when you actually want to leave and the reasons why you're doing that for yourself. I know for myself that if I go to bed past midnight, I feel terrible the next day and I can't function properly. I can't think properly. I don't feel very good. So for me, I have to decide ahead of time, I need to leave at this time by the latest in order to look after myself and be okay with that. Also saying no to people. So this, I think, is really hard for a lot of women in particular, because we don't want to look like we're selfish and that we're not helpful. So I just want to point back to the definition of healthy boundaries above that we were talking about. So unhealthy and porous boundaries look like fearing rejection if we say no or not being okay when others say no to us. So think about that for a moment. If someone is going to reject us for saying no or be upset with us for saying no, we need to actually rethink if we want to have that relationship with that person or if we need to take a step back from that relationship. So it's not healthy to fear rejection of other people. And it's also not okay for them or for us to not be okay when others say no to us. Everybody has the right to say no. And that goes into noticing toxic people that maybe are in our lives, whether they are family or friends, and making a point to take a step back from them or cutting off communication with them if need be in order to look after our mental health. And recognizing that other people's feelings are not our fault. We do not make other people feel a certain way. We choose how we react and how we feel about a certain situation. It is not our responsibility to make other people happy. And this includes your parents, your partner, your kids, your friends, anyone. And also, with that being said, is shifting our mentality. So accepting and being okay if somebody is upset with us because we set a boundary or said no, and standing our ground and remembering why we're doing what we're doing and that we are looking after our own best interests. And there is absolutely nothing selfish or wrong about that, regardless of what other people might say or feel. And another one is having mindfulness. So when I look at mindfulness, I mean being really aware of your body and what it needs. So paying attention to how you feel, kind of doing like a little check, um, thinking about, okay, well, did I get enough sleep? Did I get enough alone time? Am I lonely? Do I really need to make some plans to like meet with a friend and visit? Do I need to talk to a therapist about something that's really bothering me that I'm just can't seem to figure out on my own? So, being really aware of what you need and how your body feels, and take some time to actually think about what your needs are instead of rushing through life, stopping for a moment and just taking stock of, what am I feeling today? What's bothering me? What do I actually need to fill my cup back up? And to do things that make you feel good and that fill your cup and not feel guilty about it. Again, it is not selfish. Now, we have to remember that taking care of ourselves is just as important as personal hygiene. It needs to be a daily thing, if not more than once a day. And here's the thing, you deserve to feel good and have a healthy body that enables you to do things that you need to do and that bring you joy. And you are just as important as your spouse, your kids, and your grandkids. And you deserve to be treated as such. But you have to be the one to make yourself a priority first, because if you don't, nobody else is going to come along and make you a priority. You have to make yourself a priority first, and it is a conscious choice. And I know I talk about this, I bring this up often, that as women, we are socialized to put everyone's needs first above our own. We're taught we have to always be helpful, we have to be nice. But the reality is that if we don't take care of our health, we're not going to have as much to give to the people that we love in the end. So if you are still very much motivated by living your life for other people, you aren't going to be able to do a whole heck of a lot for the people that you love if your health falls apart. So I know what some of you are thinking. You're maybe annoyed with me or maybe triggered by some of the things that I said. And you're thinking, but Jessica, I have to do all these things. I need to do ABC, 1, 2, 3, XYZ. Yes, I get it. We all have responsibilities to take care of, but there are always other options and modifications that we can make if we are miserable and stressed out and our bodies are falling apart. So when we are not open to change or seeing things differently, we stay in a victim mode, and this keeps us stuck and not getting anywhere. So we need to make a conscious choice to look after ourselves. So to sum up everything I'm covering today is that we are more likely to get sick and stay sick if we are not looking out for ourselves emotionally and physically. And by setting boundaries, we are looking after ourselves. And they are necessary so that we can make the time needed to attend to our physical health so that we can actually get better. And at the end of the day, we are in charge of our own life and we're able to make decisions for ourselves. So remembering that our needs are just as important as everybody else's, and making ourselves a priority does not make us selfish. So my challenge for you today is I want you to all think of one way that you can set a boundary in your life so that you can make more time to look after yourself and your health. So please let me know in the comments below this post what you are going to do to set a boundary so that you can make more time in your life to look after your health. So I would love to know what you have to say. So please comment on this post, and I'm excited to see what you come up with. And again, Casey and I are on holidays next week, so we won't be going live in the group, but we will be back on July 5th with another special guest. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend and next week as well. And we will see you back on July the 5th. Thanks, everyone. Take care.